Hello everybody, welcome. This is a quick live to announce the breaking news. Just a few hours ago, the government decided to drop the lawsuit, basically decided to drop the rule imposing restrictions on online-only students and other students that are taking programs that are specifically online. So we reported on a video about the implication of this rule. There's been a lawsuit that was filed, and we were expecting to hear some sort of a decision today. And what happened was just pretty unexpected that it will happen that way. So we'll talk about that real quick. And I know you have a lot of questions. Many of you had a lot of questions, and we're anxious about this rule. So stay tuned. We'll talk about this and what's going to be the next steps, what we think the government is going to do. So stay tuned. We'll cover this and answer some of your questions. So welcome everybody who is joining here. Let me know where you're from. Once again, I see a bunch of you here. Adomela, Danita, Fatima, Larne. Let me know where you're from, where you're tuning in. I'm excited to see you all. And like I said, we were all waiting, anticipating what's going to happen today. We have a lot of our subscribers that are students, both in the US and overseas, that were waiting patiently to see what's going to happen. And essentially the administration rescinded, also canceled their order from July 6th, and essentially they just dropped it. So it was crazy. In fact, I'm going to show you right here what they said here. You can see it right here. So this is actually a text from the order confirming the Trump administration has fully rescinded its international student policy, and I'll read it. Judge Ellison, hearing held on 7/14, the court was informed by the parties that they have come to a resolution to the combined temporary restraining order. Premium injunction, the government has agreed to rescind the July 6th policy, and basically they're back to fully return to March 9th, March 13th policy, which essentially allows students to continue taking online programs. And this is just, it's essentially, it's kind of like a bully, right? So as you know, Harvard and MIT and more than 30 other universities joined in less than a week to come together and file an injunction to try to stop the government from, in fact, enforcing this rule, essentially that will require students for fall, if they are going to school in an online full-time program, they have to leave the US immediately, or if they're coming from overseas trying to come back to the US, they're going to be refused visas. And again, this is one of the things that the lawsuit stated from Harvard and many universities is that this is essentially inhumane. It's impossible for all of these students to just pack up and leave, specifically when many of their countries are locked down as well. They're not allowing people to come in, and forcing students to go to school to be there in person is actually, especially now that we have so many cases rising, the infection is continuing to rise, it just doesn't make sense for students to physically gather in university. As you can see, it wasn't a decision by the judge, it wasn't any ruling. ICE officially just rescinded that decision and came back to its original policy from March. And so we'll see what happens. I mean, whether they're going to try to do this again, or they just realized that it was just a ridiculous decision. What is interesting to see is that when we have such an executive order, specifically in this case impacting students, but we have so many others. We had the ones impacting asylum. We had the regular proclamation. This is the first time where so many came together in such a short amount of time to put so much pressure on the government to reverse their position. And again, here, the good thing is that they were able to show that it's going to be an economical impact on the students. It's going to be a devastating impact on many of them to go back home. It's actually dangerous. The financial toll on the students and also on the universities themselves. Many of these universities have programs with the students. They have to come back. They've paid so much money to the university. So these are a lot of factors that shows that the government didn't take any logic into consideration when they did this. And so that was just a sign that if people come together, if you can actually point to the government that their actions were illegal and illogical, then there are ways to stop them from doing things. So I think it may open the door for or make the government think twice before they do stuff like that. And also with respect to the future orders, it shows people. I mean, right now our biggest concern is the DV lottery winners. So I'm looking to see who is going to take action. We need essentially to join more organizations to come together to sue the government big time to try to create impact, because right now DV lottery winners, they're almost in the same position as students. Many of them who are in the US, we are worried they're not going to be able to finish their adjustments. We have a lot of them in overseas because of proclamation. They're essentially going to be left out of this program. So that's another example where we need litigation to come together to try to stop government action, and we know that it's possible. So, and once again, I just wanted to jump on here to share the news with you. And again, the interesting thing about it is that it's essentially the impact of this rescission is that students and schools can proceed as if nothing happened on 7/6, as if this order was never issued. That's the essential of a rescission. Basically, they take back what they've decided. And again, they have not given any reasons. There's no comments, except from the statement that I just shared with you right here, guys. Except from this, where they specifically state that they rescinded their decision, and the policy for March 9th and March 13th is come back to impact the same as it was. This moots the temporary restraining order. And obviously, there's no more need for restraining order because they rescinded the rule, and so now everything goes back to normal. So, once again, this is just crazy. I know that a lot of you were asking and sending us questions, and many of you knew that there's going to be some sort of a decision happening today, and so I wanted just to come on here to share the news once again. It's a big win for Harvard, for MIT, and for students all over the country that came together, small lawsuits, in addition to what the big one says, and also to the law firm that drafted I think their name is Wilmer Hale. It's a big law firm in the East Coast. They came together to do an amazing brief in their injunction, something that they put together in a matter of days. I know it's a really strong, powerful brief where they came back and they explained essentially, just to give you context, they talked about this current state of affairs of students in the US. That they're coming here, they're bringing money, they're contributing to our economy. Many of them are not able to go back. They show the devastation of them going back home. It's impractical for them to leave. This is a crazy rule. And then they were able to show how a lot of these students who graduate, they stay in the US and they join companies like Google, Twitter, Instagram, and many other companies to be able to become the top engineers and talent. So sending them away is essentially like shooting ourselves in the foot. And therefore, all these arguments, and the government really had no arguments back. I mean, their brief was horrible. The response to this lawsuit was completely horrible and amateur. So we're excited that they decided to back off. And again, it's a good sign for other executive orders. And like I said, right now, I'm really focused on the DV lottery. I'm hoping that somebody's going to take action. So let me take a few of your questions, guys. We have Indeed here. And once again, if you're here watching this for the first time, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Click that bell to be notified. We try to do videos every single week and lives like this. Whenever there are breaking news, I'm here live first to let you know. So let me take Nadidi's question. Now see what actually harms America. American economy depends on immigrants. Absolutely. Let me see. Questions. Preeti, my niece has got admission in Parsons School of Art this fall. She applied from Dubai. The university announced classes online, so she can still get the visa. Absolutely. That's a great question. So students that are currently overseas, because this thing was rescinded, it's like it never happened. Okay? So essentially what happened before the 6th of July stays the same. If you are going through an online course, you can continue going through an online course. Nothing has changed. So we are back to like before, right? Let me see if you have any other questions here. You have a lot of questions. So keep posting those questions. I'll keep answering them in the comments after the live is going to be off. So once again, just to summarize, the government has rescinded its order to require students to leave the US if they're going to full online courses. And essentially that policy, like it never existed. So students can officially stay in the US. If they're going through online courses, they can stay. If they're coming from overseas, like a lot of the questions that I see here. Let me see another question. So do you still think embassies are opening tomorrow? Mexico in particular. So again, I've done a video on Monday where I announced that July 15th, embassies are going to reopen. So yes, there's a confirmation from the State Department that embassies are reopening tomorrow. And remember, quite a few countries are reopened. A lot of European countries are reopened. I believe Mexico City is as well. But it is important to email the individual embassy so you'll know specifically if that embassy is open or not. And that's exactly what you're going to have to do. Anyway, so once again, thanks for watching, guys. This is a quick live to update you. Once again, the rule imposing online restrictions on students that go on full online courses is now rescinded and no longer in effect. Those of you that are in the US can stay. Those of you that overseas can go back and apply for student visas as soon as the embassies are reopened. So once again, guys, drop me a comment. Let me know any other questions you have, any other concerns about this rule and any other rules, and I'll keep you posted. We have a few more videos coming out this week, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you soon.